Hi, everybody. This is Coach Dawn, CEO and founder of Reid Life Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk for Coaches. And you guys know I am always excited to have amazing coaches to come to you and to talk with you and talk with me. And tonight's discussion is a really important one for coaches in particular. And me and my wonderful guest, Coach Vanessa Green, who's going to introduce herself in a hot second. We are going to talk about, going deeper and leaning in to get results. And as many of you know, I predominantly do coach training in addition to my coaching services. And I find it is really interesting how a lot of new coaches are afraid to go deep. They're afraid to pull back those layers to help the client get results, and they kind of stay on the surface. So me and Coach Vanessa, we're going to pull back that onion tonight, and we're going to talk about it, y'all. And hopefully you will get some insight and you will understand the importance of going deep and pulling back the onion and really not being afraid of those big emotions that kind of draw up. So before I introduce, or should I say, before I have Vanessa introduce herself, gotta take care of business. So I am really excited to talk about one of our sponsors, especially those who will be supporting the virtual conference in October, the October 15th and October 16th. So make sure you get your tickets, everybody. Brand Swan. Brand Swan is one of our amazing vendors. Please make sure you check them out. And the thing I love about Brand Swan is that they provide SEO and marketing and web development for coaches. And so it's very important that we as coaches, when we deal with different vendors who do different things, we want to make sure that they understand our industry, they understand our pain points, they understand our needs. And that's why I'm excited to bring on Brand Swan, because they will be able to not only help you create a fabulous website, they will be able to help you develop your SEO. They'll be able to help you market and promote and brand and social media and all that good stuff that we need as coaches. So make sure you check them out and make sure you talk to them when you come to the Virtual Coaches Conference, October 15th and October 16th. Okay, I took care of this.
We took care of all of it.
I took it all, right? Okay, so now we can get into the nitty gritty. So, Miss Vanessa, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell my listeners and your listeners, or those who may not be familiar with you, who you are, what you do. And so we could get started with this amazing discussion tonight.
Absolutely. First, thank you so much for having me this evening. This is just an honor and a privilege to be able to have this conversation with you, Dr. Dawn. So thank you so much, first of all, for having me. I am Vanessa Green. I am a certified life coach. I am the creator and founder of Made New LLC. I am here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I offer life coaching and mentoring services, as well as working with budding entrepreneurs and life coaches with business startup consultation packages as well. That's something new that I've been able to add in the last couple of months. So that's been a really exciting change. I am also a future co-author of an anthology with some other life coaches that'll be coming out probably in the next few months, but I just completed a chapter on that. So that was another dream that I got to fulfill, is
Nice.
becoming an author. So
I
that's
love that.
pushing me into, finally digging in and doing the book that I've always wanted to do. So I'm just excited with everything that's been happening.
I love it. So you guys, you make sure when that book hit the market, y'all go get that book. I love that. I love it. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
sharing. And so now that my listeners know who you are, and anyone who come across the podcast, they'll know who you are. And I'm excited to have you on the show. So first, thank you for being here.
Thank
So
you.
let's get into this.
Yes.
So and I know that I know this is something that you've come across, and I know this is something that you are aware of. And like I have found, especially with new coaches, right?
Mhm.
Or coaches, mainly new coaches, a couple of veterans, but this is mainly new coaches, where they really do struggle. Like they'll coach a client, and if the client has a big emotion, right, from the conversation, or if the client needs to go deeper,
Mhm.
they're afraid. They stay on the surface of whatever the client is being coached about.
Mhm.
Um, but before I really get to that part, tell me what you think it means to really go deeper. Like, yeah.
To me, going deeper, it means really just going into those unknown things, those things that, we may have suppressed, those uncomfortable places. I mean, even when you think about, digging, to plant a flower or to plant a tree,
Yes.
you got to go deep so that that thing can actually take root. And when you dig deep, there are going to be things that come to the surface. There are going to be those repressed feelings. Things that were once in the dark may come to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're uncovering and discovering things, but also in that digging deep, you have the opportunity to get unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that opportunity to, uncover those things, break that fallow ground up,
I like it.
and get to the heart of some matters. So it has a lot of benefits to it, and as you were saying, it can be very scary and intimidating, but it's something I truly believe, just in my experience, not just as a life coach, but as an MST therapist,
Mm-hmm.
having worked with, young women, in different capacities over the last 20 years, that digging deep is very necessary.
Very necessary. And how would you describe leaning in? So once you dig deep, I do believe you have to then lean in, because when you're digging, like you said, you start to uncover stuff. And I love that you used the analogy of, like, if you're planting a tree or planting flowers, as you dig, roots come up, weeds come up, rocks come up, right? And the
Mhm.
same thing with our emotions. Pain can come up, past trauma could come up,
Absolutely.
hurt, disappointments, all that good stuff start to bubble up. And and
Absolutely.
and so when I'm coaching clients, I usually say, okay, let's lean into that. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
understand it's coming up. Yep. We on this journey together. I'm here with
Absolutely.
you. Let's lean into that. So from your perspective, how would you describe the leaning in?
To me, the leaning in is sticking with the process. Once you start that, staying committed to that, staying
Mm-hmm.
in that particular place,
Mm-hmm.
really discovering what's underneath that particular thing, staying committed, not just hitting it and leaving it, because then you're still leaving something undone.
Right.
And that has great impact into you really getting everything out of the process, from you truly being fulfilled, having understanding, going to that next level. So
Mm-hmm.
staying committed, no matter how painful or how uncomfortable it may be, I mean, going in is going to be a difficult process. And sometimes I think, to your point of what you were saying earlier, when we have those emotions, some things are just going to come up, but there's something behind that is that fork in the road that
Mm-hmm.
determines your true fulfillment and success,
Right.
or you stay stuck in that place and you continue that same behavior. So it's really staying committed to that process. Once you've uncovered whatever it is, dealing with everything that comes with that. I always use the example with clients. It's like having that one unpacked box. When you move, you have that one
Yes.
box that you sit in the corner,
Yep.
I'll get to it one day. You know,
Yeah,
I'll go through that stuff eventually, and you don't want anybody else to touch that box. You just, you know, you're gonna get to it.
yeah.
At some point you gotta dig in that. You gotta unpack that. You gotta
Mhm.
unpack that. And there may be things in there that are uncomfortable. There may be things that are unpleasant, but stay committed until you get that box emptied, and that you know, you can throw that thing away. You can decide, you know, I'm gonna give this away. This is no longer something that I need. It goes in the trash altogether. So
Exactly.
part of that is just sticking with it when you have, you know, someone to walk through that process with you. Because I love what you said, because I always tell, you know, I always say, you know, to my clients, it's a privilege to be on this journey with you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you've got somebody that is digging with you, that's leaning in with you
Yep.
through that process. You're
Yep.
not doing it by yourself.
Right.
And so you don't have to be afraid of what comes up, because we're not judging, you know, we're not condemning you. We
Right.
are here to truly help you do your work so that you can have that fulfillment, you can have that
Mhm.
understanding, you can truly have that power over
Exactly.
that situation versus that thing having power over
Over
you.
you.
Yes.
Exactly. And that is the key, that this is, we're walking with you. We're not doing the work for you. But
Yes.
we're gonna help support you while you're digging. We're gonna be in the back making sure you got steady balance as you digging and
Absolutely.
leaning in. You
Absolutely.
know, I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, see, and this is the thing. Like when I think about this whole process too, the fear that some coaches have, and I'm glad that you are really by trade a clinician, and I think this is important. This is why I'm glad you're here to have this conversation, because one of the things I believe coaches fear is crossing that therapy boundary, because of course as coaches we're not therapists, and we shouldn't be
Right.
practicing therapy unless we have a license, right? And
Right.
even if we have a license, we need to be able to do coaching and make sure the client knows this is coaching, this is not therapy. And if you want
Right.
therapy, we're taking a different path, right?
Exactly.
But I think a lot of coaches are afraid of stepping over that boundary. So do you think it could be other things that's causing that? I don't want to go deeper. And or if it is the fear of crossing the boundary, what tips or thoughts or anything can you share with coaches, especially because you're both, which I think this is phenomenal. What tips can you share to help them understand the difference and not worry that they're going to step over that line?
One of the first things that I learned even when I was in school, getting my specialist degree in counseling, one of the first things that you learn is that you have to be very clear on your own issues.
Very
And so
yes.
once you get into that mindset, when you are coaching, that you're very clear on your own things, then I believe that you can truly be clear enough to help somebody else. Because when if I'm talking to you about something and it's been your experience,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have the healing in that area or clarity in that area, then it may somewhat be a trigger for me,
Yeah,
you
that's
know. And so my objectivity to this issue that's coming up because of the digging, and I'm leaning in, that could possibly trigger something for you.
mm-hmm.
And so I always encourage others to be very clear. Give yourself grace, you know, truly do
Yes.
your work on your issues, things that you may have encountered, or things in your past.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, I'm a true believer, and I don't know about you, Dr. Daw, but I believe that you are. Anything that happens to us is not for us.
Mm.
It is absolutely something that's happening through us,
Mm-hmm.
so that when we do run across those people with those issues, with the heartbreak, with the disappointment,
Right.
you know, with issues with being distracted, betrayal,
Right.
we have a place, we have a foundation of experience, but we also have to be very, very clear on that and be able to hear what is truly being said from that person,
Right.
not from our own experience.
Agreed.
So we may need to spend time ourselves with a coach, having a coach ourselves. If we need to have therapy, then truly going through therapy,
Absolutely.
to get those things cleared up, because we have to be able to hear not what's being said, but also the things that are not being said.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
got to pay attention to body language when
Exactly.
tone
Tones of
changes.
voice. Yes. Yes.
We have to
Yes.
be able to see the unseen things
Yep.
and
Yep.
address those things.
Yep.
And so we have to be very clear about those things in ourselves so that it doesn't, seep over, that we can, be clear enough to say, to a client that, we can offer this suggestion of
Mm.
possibly getting therapy,
Right.
so that we don't cross the boundaries. If that's something that we're truly, like you said, not certified, not licensed, or
Right.
anything of that nature to do, because our job is to take what they say they want, ask those questions to start that thought process
Right.
in them, to arrive at their own solution, to
Right.
arrive at something that they can continue to lean into and stay committed to
Right.
see the progress in their life. And so I know the biggest thing for me has to really be clear, really be present with them. You can't be distracted, having all
Nope.
these different things going on. You've got to really be present for them, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and for
And
yourself, because
yourself.
that you can be of more service to them
Yep.
and really hear, take
Yep.
those notes, be able to ask those questions, to probe a little more on a statement, have
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
follow-up question. And so it's really being clear with yourself and your issues, looking at the things that you've experienced, things that you've
Right.
gone through, how you arrived at peace,
Mm-hmm.
how you arrived at, continuing to
Or
be
if you
able,
haven't yet,
or if you haven't,
right? So
or if
that you
you
don't
haven't.
project that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got to really know that when you're going through your training, going through your, going back through your information,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out, having other coaches, trusted
I
people
say
that
that
you
all
can
the time.
talk to
That's right.
about those things. I'm
Yep.
experiencing this, have
Yep.
that person to snap you back and help you to, be real
Yes.
clear
Yes.
about that your emotions talking, what's coming up from that.
Right.
And so you really got to know yourself. You got to know yourself, because people are trusting you,
Thank
with their
you.
heart, with their
With their
pain,
mind.
with
Yes.
their minds. They're
Yes.
trusting you with
Yes.
all of that. So you got to be of a sound mind to be able to,
Work with
really help
someone.
them.
Thank
Yes,
you. See,
absolutely.
and I see it the same exact way. And I think a lot of coaches are afraid because maybe some of their issues, like they don't want to cross the boundary, but
Mhm.
then they haven't really worked on themselves either.
Right. Right.
Right. And I think that's a
Absolutely.
good point.
It
That's a
is.
good point.
Mindset is everything. That's
It
been a
is.
big thing for me, because I know it's been it's just been a theme in my life. If I look at the last 20-25 years of
Yeah.
my life, it has been all about mindset for
Yep.
me. And it was just so natural that ended up being one of my niches,
Hmm.
because I could see how that was so vitally important in the hardest times in my life, the most stressful times of my life. It was
I
my
saw that.
mindset,
Yeah.
and having people to remind me of that.
Yeah.
And so I could go through things with a grace and with a calm and a peace that I know I definitely didn't understand, but it was because I had made a conscious decision. And that's the thing that your clients are looking for, to have that different mindset, that different thought process,
Hmm.
to keep going even when they get stuck, even when they're not sure, even when they're fearful, that's how they lean into that process and continue to trust it. It's that mindset that you have to help them gain or regain, for themselves.
I also, and you're right. And I also think coaches also need to understand the difference between what coaching is and what therapy is, and so should clients too. Like
Absolutely.
that's one of the reasons why I always say in the beginning when you're setting the agreement, be very clear with your client what they're getting, that they're
Mhm.
getting coaching, and you're not going to dig deep in a sense of diagnosing. You're
Right,
not digging deep if they don't want to go on the journey. So I'm big on let's dig deep, right?
right.
But if the client is apprehensive, it's going to be very hard to do the work necessary to dig deep and lean in. And so I
Mhm.
think if coaches take into account everything that you just said, as well as understanding what coaching is and what therapy is, even though coaching is therapeutic, is not clinical.
Exactly.
And that's what people got to understand. And you're not diagnosing,
Exactly.
you're helping the client move forward and helping them
Exactly.
understand themselves and gain self awareness. Now, with that being said, thank you. That was an excellent response. And I 110% we here. um,
Good, good.
so, I'm also big on sharing personal experience because I think that when people know that you had a journey very similar, they know that you can resonate with their experience, right? And
Mhm.
so, if you would like to share, you absolutely don't have to, but if you'd like to share, have as a coach, have you ever had the experience where you were afraid to lean in or afraid to go deeper with a client? And can you share things that you might have done, maybe three things you might have done or two things you might have done to help you move past that fear, concern, or uncertainty about going deeper and leaning in?
Absolutely. I think when, even though I had been in this capacity as far as coaching and mentoring for a long time, I didn't see it that way.
Mm.
And so, the as I in the last year or so, I think my biggest thing is, what do I have to say that's so different from everybody else?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
what is it that I have to offer that they can't get from somewhere else? What makes my, you know, what makes me so different and
Unique.
unique?
Right.
What can I give to people?
Right.
And I really did wrestle with the confidence,
Mhm.
in just trusting my voice, trusting the experiences that I had. I had to realize that God was preparing me for this all along, and being able to offer, just offering back to them what they were giving to me, as presenting an issue, but them coaching them through how to take accountability.
Right.
And he just gave me my own way of being able to talk to people and answer, ask them questions, that they could truly reflect on themselves. So for me, I think it was just learning to trust my own voice.
Mhm.
I did a lot of journaling, a lot of journaling that helped me to get clear, on certain issues, within myself.
Right.
And then I just spent a lot of time in prayer and meditation and just trusting the voice that's in me. Not worrying about necessarily, even in sessions, what I'm gonna say. I
Right.
prepare, absolutely, but I trust that he is going to always make sure that I hear exactly what I need to hear, that I say exactly what I need to say, that I can ask the proper questions that provoke more thought
Right.
in them. And so, between that combination of things, and then having mentors in different areas, in watching them and how they talk to people, and
Right.
how they ask questions, reminded me to trust that voice on the inside of me, that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He made me in this unique way to be able to offer this type of wisdom and ask these types of questions, and just learning to trust what I know is already on the inside of me. And that was my biggest thing, is just, what makes me so special. Everybody can do it, but not everybody can do it,
Man.
you know.
For real.
Not everybody can do it.
For
So
real.
I really had to learn that. And then, when he gives you the vision for certain things and how he envisions using you, all of those things will fall into place. That's the beautiful thing about it. If you, continue to just dig deep and really lean into what you already know about yourself. We all have gifts and abilities.
Right.
And, there are various ways that it's used to help empower people, inspire them. And so you have to trust that voice on the inside when you're pouring out, when you're asking questions, that curiosity
Mm-hmm.
that you have. I've always been curious as to how people think,
Mm-hmm.
their reasoning for things,
Likewise.
their thought process, their critical
Likewise.
thinking
Yep.
skills. So
Yeah.
that's always, been something very intriguing to me. So I think that's what caused me to, lean in even more,
Right.
to dig deep, because that's fascinating how you arrived at that decision, how you
Right.
arrived at, this being the thing that you were going to do with your life. How did your, previous choices and decisions lead you
Impact.
to
Right.
where you are
Right.
in your life now? That was always fascinating to me. So, that would probably be the fourth thing. When you have a fascination about certain things,
Right. Right.
that will help to calm the fears that you have, because you really want to understand and then be able to help people, offer them a different perspective, a different way of thinking of,
Exactly.
things, a different way of handling things, that this way is not the only way because that's what your grandmother taught you or your mother taught
Right.
you, that you can make a different choice,
Yep.
but it's based on that mindset change, is based on digging deep. So I think for me, just liking to have those conversations,
Mm.
that helped to calm my fears about whether this was, my path
Right.
and my purpose. It's every time I have a conversation, Dr. Dawn, every time that I have a session, those things remind me that this is my purpose, that I am truly walking in my purpose. Those fears go away. I
And that
don't
you
worry about being
do.
exposed.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
worry about it anymore. I
Yes.
don't.
Awesome. The thing that I heard that was big, and there's different listeners that I have different faiths, right? So I'm
Yes.
going to preface it in this way. The biggest thing that I heard was your faith gave you that courage to override the fear, the
Mhm.
uncertainty, the am I doing this right? Can I handle this, or am I going to do it wrong, or whatever? We get stuck in our head, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and I think that is a very important thing, because I think when we trust ourselves, like you said, when we have faith in ourselves, we know that we will be okay.
Absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
beauty about all of this is that even if we make a mistake, we'll learn.
Yes.
We'll learn. And
Yes.
there's growth in that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I also like the fact that you said tap into other coaches. And that's another thing that I try to really drum in to coaches. And I'm not just new ones, but like all coaches, is
Mhm.
don't be afraid to build that tribe. Don't be afraid to get other coaches and say, like you said, hey, I got this client. It feels very emotional. I don't know if they need therapy. I don't know if coach is going to benefit them. Can I run this past you? What do you think? You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
Oh,
that's critical to your success. I
it
mean,
really
and
is.
I think it's in you also, when you have that mindset, you really want what's best for your clients. So you
Exactly.
sometimes have to consult your tribe of people to see what they think, because they can
Exactly.
say, you know what? No, maybe you need to ask these questions. Maybe you need to
Right.
ask her this. Have you
Right.
thought about that? Because when you're in the moment, you can't think of everything.
Thank you.
And like you said, you may, you get off and I'll start reviewing my notes. I'm like, I should have asked that, or, I
I
should
do
have thought about
that.
that. And it's like,
Yes,
gosh, but it's an opportunity for growth.
it is.
And you have to go through it first, because you're not going to know. And every client is going to be different.
Yep.
Some you're going to have to work a little harder with to get
Oh
that,
man.
that rapport, to get them to really answer the questions, to get them to be willing to dig deep. you know,
Yep.
and
Yep.
commit to the process. And so you've got to have people around you, because you can't get, I mean, you know, we're not going to be of any service to them if we're frustrated,
No, we're not.
you
But
know.
that ties back into what you said about you have to be clear on your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It really
Absolutely.
does tie back into that. Because if
Absolutely.
you're not clear, the stuff that comes up or you get triggered by, you're going to start to project. And then you're going to start to
Absolutely.
lead the client down your path
Absolutely.
versus allowing them to discover their own path.
Exactly,
Oh my gosh,
exactly.
love
And
this.
you, yeah, and if you're not careful, then see, you'll reproduce who you are. And so if
Oh,
that's not, if you're not in a good place, if you're not clear on your stuff, if you're not healed, then you're piling on, you're putting back that layer of the onion back
mm,
on them instead of taking it off. And so you'll reproduce the same thing. So the mindset has not changed in any type of
I,
way. They're not motivated to really do too much of anything new. You
right.
know, if you project that onto them. So
Yep.
you got to have a place within yourself that you're like, you know what? I got to be able to hear this, you know, and be
Yeah.
able to guide them in a different way, that they think differently, that they believe differently about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of the process that I've even found, Dr. Don. Like, they, you know, they may come with things that they want to talk about and they want coaching on, but we always end up going back to what's going on the inside
And
of
it's
them.
like, yes.
Self-care, that, you know, learning for to, you know, them learning to care for themselves
Yeah.
first. Because like, while your list of things, I think this is wonderful. However, I can hear from your answers, I can look at my
Yes.
notes, and
Yes.
there's some things that we need to address first,
First. Yes.
so that you
Yes.
can really see the fruits, you know, in you wanting to start a business or lose
Right.
weight or mend this relationship.
Yep.
We need to talk about the relationship with yourself first. What are you doing to feed into yourself? You
Thank
know,
you.
what self-care, you know, habits or plans do you have
Mm-hmm.
for yourself? How do you spend time with yourself
Mm-hmm.
first?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
you got to really, you can, this is not it, this, you know, when you're coaching, it is not about you.
Oh, man, that is one of the first things I say in the first class I teach. I'm like, it ain't about you.
Nope, nope. Sorry, sorry, sorry.
You
If
don't
you
have
want
a
it to
dog
be
in the
about
fight.
you, that's
Yep.
it. If you want it to be about you, go get a coach and
Come
pay
here.
them to coach you. If
Exactly.
that's what you need to talk about you, or go get a therapist, whatever that
Ooh,
is.
that's the
But
truth.
at that, when you are in that session, it is all about that
That
client.
client.
They need to be able to talk, express, you hear all of that,
Yep.
you know. And when you're really tapped in and tuned into them, you know, like we were talking about earlier, those fears and those concerns that you have, they will subside,
They will.
you
They're
know.
temporary.
They're temporary. Exactly. They're
Yep.
temporary. And the other thing that I just thought of, you know, like I said earlier, anybody can do it, but not anybody. You got to make sure this is something that you're called to do.
Thank you. I do
You
agree with that.
gotta make
I
sure
do agree with that.
that
Everybody
coaching
want to
is,
call themselves a coach. And it's like you need to understand exactly what you're doing because you have people's hearts, emotions, minds,
yes,
behaviors, thoughts in your hand.
yes.
And you
That-
can't sit here and say you're a coach, but not coach. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta know that this is your purpose. You
You
gotta know
do.
that you're truly walking in your calling, you
Yeah.
know, because it's not about, you know, the money. It's
Nope.
not about your name being
Nope.
out there, you know, because, you know, really, truth be told, you know, I told somebody, a coach yesterday, like, you know, if it wasn't for what I know that I'm called to do, there you wouldn't see me on social
I
media.
know
I
that's
wouldn't be
right.
doing lives. I wouldn't be doing all these
For
things.
real.
I wouldn't have started a
For real.
business, none of
For
this.
real.
But I know that this is my purpose.
Yep.
And so you make those sacrifices because you know that that's your purpose, that you
Yep.
want to see people healed. You
Yep.
want to see them whole. You want to see them empowered. You know, you want to
Exactly.
see them walking, you know, in what they're called to do and be great at it.
Thank you.
And so you sacrifice yourself because you're pouring out and you're giving. you are sharing, you are
Yes.
listening.
Yep.
This is not some Rudy Poo thing.
No.
You taking on, this stuff from another person, all of their issues,
All
all
that
of their hurt,
energy.
all
Yes.
that energy.
Yes.
So
Oh my
you got to
God.
know that this is your
Better.
calling.
You better.
You got to know that this is your purpose to
Yep.
do this, because if that's the case, you can just give advice on the street corner. You
Very
know what I'm
easily.
saying?
Very easily. Oh my. See, and as always, now this is why we're having a good conversation, because we 15 minutes to the hour. Oh, at the time I said, oh man.
Maybe we need a part two.
We might need a part two, because this really is a very important topic. And like I said, I'm telling you for a fact, a lot of coaches, in particular new coaches, struggle with this. They really do. And what I say a lot of times to new coaches is that if you're not able to go deep, you're not going to really be able to help the client resolve whatever it is they're trying to resolve or achieve what they want to achieve, because there's relationships between how they behave and what they feel and what they think. There's relationships between past events and how their thought process and their mindset.
Absolutely.
And our job is to help them make those mental shifts and understand, how do I move forward in spite of the past learned behavior, and how do I develop new behaviors? That's our job. So you can't stay on the surface. You just
you
playing
can't.
on the surface. You're not gonna really. The client is gonna remain stuck. They're not gonna know how to dig out of whatever hole or situation they're in.
Absolutely. It's critical. That digging work is critical. I will listen to my clients when they say, I want to work on this and I work on that. And it's like I start asking questions and I'm like, nope. We got to deal with this
really
first.
Not ready to go there yet.
But the beauty, right? But the beauty of it, what I found with my clients is, even though we may be doing that deep work,
right,
I can go back to the first session and I can say, but look, you did this. But look, you did this. Like,
that's
all
right.
along the way,
that's right.
You're making progress
that's
in
right.
the goals that we set, in that very first session or in that consultation. Look at and they're like,
they get surprised.
They're surprised. And I'm like, but you've been doing the work
all along.
Along. You've been doing it. You've been self-motivated. You've been pouring that time into yourself and your dreams. And you've been doing this stuff, without us even really touching it yet. That's the report that you give me at the top of every session. So you have to do that work, because sometimes it really comes from a lack of their own self-confidence. It comes from their own low self-esteem.
It does, yes.
And so that's got to be addressed, because if you can't, then the goals will not be achieved.
No.
It doesn't matter what they say they want to do, but if you don't trust that your own voice, if you don't believe in yourself,
how can
you can't. You're not going to be able to do it. So you got to have those hard conversations with them to help them see, this is not going to be just about you being able to balance your budget and put money in the bank.
No, you got to address what's going on with your spending habits. You got to address what your debt look like.
Exactly.
How'd you get there?
How did you get there?
And that's gonna make you uncomfortable.
It is. But you gotta be comfortable with knowing that you're gonna be uncomfortable in the process.
I say that on get comfortable with uncomfortable. Oh my goodness, I say that. One of my favorite sayings is embrace the suck.
That's it.
You gotta embrace the suck, baby.
You gotta.
And it's temporary. And I always tell people, being uncomfortable never kills anybody.
No. And like you said, it's temporary. And just because that's where you currently are, that does not mean that's where you're going to stay.
You're not going to stay.
You're not going to stay in that place. We're going to work together to get you to put one foot in the other, to keep climbing that ladder. Yes. We do this together. In the times that you can't, like I'm right there saying, no, yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Remind you of the progress that you've made.
Right.
So it's having that accountability. Most of us are not used to having somebody to hold us accountable.
No.
And that's hard. You know, when you're not used to somebody really just being in your business like that and holding you accountable and asking you those hard questions.
Yep.
But if you truly want to see the change, if you want the transformation, then you come to the right person.
You
I'm
go
gonna
to,
hold
that's
you
right.
accountable. I'm
That's
gonna
right.
ask you those questions. But
Yep.
then guess what? You get to do the same with me. You know, I can be transparent with you in a
That's right.
way
That's
that
right.
I can relate to that and understand that it's a struggle. I can tell you I know it's hard. I've
Yep.
been exactly
I've been
where you've
there.
been. I've been where
Exactly.
you've been. It was
Exactly.
hard. It was uncomfortable. It was painful. I cried a lot of tears.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, I was frustrated. I
I
was
wanted to give up
angry.
a few
I
times.
wanted to give up.
Right. But I'm
But
here.
but I'm here. I had to just trust the process.
Yes. Yes.
And this is what it looks like on the other side. And so people see what it looks like on the other side, but they don't know the work that it took to
That is,
get
that's
here and
right.
the work that it takes to sustain it.
Hey, thank you. Knocking on wood.
Because you
Yes.
got to be able to sustain it. This is
That's
a
right.
daily work that we do on
Every day.
ourselves. It's a daily intentional process that we have to do 24/7, 365
365.
days of the year.
So true.
You have to. You can't just think you're going to sit in a session and that's
Right.
just it.
And that's it. Or you're just going to talk about it and that's it.
And that's it.
Right.
You
Right.
got to be
No.
doing your work. Just like you can't ask your clients to do anything that you're not willing to do yourself.
I say it all the time. I say it all the time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. See, amazing conversation. I just knew it. I just knew it. So to close out our awesome, amazing conversation, is there any final thought or tip you like to give coaches on digging deep and leaning in?
Absolutely. Do your work. You
That
can't you
says it
can't
all,
you
really.
you can't serve anybody else if you're not serving yourself.
That's the truth.
If you are not willing to expose those things, if you're not willing to dig deep within yourself,
You can't do it with no
you
one.
can't do it. You can't lead, you can't guide anybody else to do it for them because they're looking at you as the model.
Yep.
They see something in you that they admire, that they ascribe to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are not serving yourself in a way that that light truly shines,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not doing them a service. You're
You're
doing
not.
them a disjustice,
Disservice.
an
Yeah.
injustice if you're not truly doing it because they should see it. They
Agreed.
should hear it when you talk, when you
Agreed.
ask questions. They should know that you are tuned in to me and me only. And obviously you know, even though we don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but we know because we've experienced, our
Mm-hmm.
questions should let them know how tuned in. They should
Mm-hmm.
hear healing. They should hear the progress
Mm-hmm.
in when we speak, when we ask questions, the care and consideration. You know, we don't just sit
Yeah.
here and, I never want to be in a place, Dr. Dawn, where I'm just dialing it in,
Thank
that
you.
I'm not present. I want to
Exactly.
be fully present with everything.
Exactly.
So I gotta do my work. I gotta serve myself so that I can serve others
Others.
effectively, so the influence and the impact that I have on their lives, it causes them to flourish and
Mm-hmm.
go farther than they could ever dream or imagine. That my ability is my responsibility.
Right.
And so
That's
if
right.
you trust me with your life, with your heart, with your mind, with your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
that's an honor and a privilege to
It
have
is.
that place
It is.
in your life
We
for
can't
those
take it
sessions.
lightly. We
I do
cannot take
not
that
take that
lightly.
lightly. And
Nope.
this is the mandate on my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely can't shame the person that I got to see one day, and it doesn't matter whatever your belief, whatever your religion is, it's your responsibility.
It's still your responsibility.
It's still
I
your
agree.
responsibility
I
to
agree.
do that person justice and to honor whatever they are entrusting you with.
Yep.
That is an honor
That's an
to be
honor.
in somebody's space
Mm.
like that.
Mm.
I don't take that. That for me, that knowing that that's something that somebody's entrusting me with, makes me want to do my work. It
That's right.
makes me want to dig in. It
Yeah.
makes me want to, lean into it even more because somebody is watching the life that I'm living. Somebody is listening to the words that I say, whether they like the post or not.
Or
It don't
not.
matter.
That's
It does
right.
not matter. I want to always be a reflection of truly doing my work
Authentic.
and
Authentic.
always authentic, always
Yeah.
be authentic and
Yeah.
transparent, be
Yeah.
and transparent in everything that I do. Do your work. Have good people around you that can hold you accountable, that you
Mm-hmm.
can talk to, that you can share with. Have
Mm-hmm.
a coach. Coaches
Mm-hmm.
need coaches. Go to
Mm-hmm.
therapy if you need to
If
go
you
to
need to,
therapy.
that's right.
Do what you need to do because you can't handle somebody's life,
If you can't
like
handle
this
your own.
tissue. You
Right.
cannot treat them like that.
Right.
That's a precious thing. That's
It is.
that's a life.
Yeah.
And so do what you need to do to be healthy, heal, and whole so that you can go out and do this. Make sure that you are called to do this. Make sure this is your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because you want to put coach in front of your name and
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Because this is an investment, not just in money. It's your time,
It's
your
your
talent, your
time.
gifts, your spirit, your
I was
heart,
going to say that, y'all. Your energy, you're investing.
everything.
We give so much.
Mm,
That's why you can't take this lightly. You
no,
really can't. And I tell people, I tell the first day of class, coaching is not for the faint of heart.
sure isn't.
If you
Amen.
doing this because you want to be a motivational speaker, go be a motivational speaker. I don't knock anybody's dreams, but don't say you want to be a coach, but you really want to be a motivational speaker.
Right.
You want to be an author in a book, go write a book. You should. But if you're going to coach, make sure you're clear
Mm-hmm.
that you're coaching and understand is going to require you to dig deep. It's going to require you to help your clients and yourself lean in. And
Absolutely.
again, you got to do the work. And you got to do the work
You
on you.
got it. It's
So,
critical.
oh my God. So, got 5 minutes. Right, before I say anything, you have EDS at the end of your title. I should be calling you Dr. Vanessa too, correct?
No, that's like one step below a
Okay.
doctorate.
Okay.
So it's a specialist degree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a specialist degree. It's a little bit below one. Maybe one day I'll have my doctorate.
You will. You will. We're going
So
to claim it.
we got some things. Hey, and I receive it. Look, I'm
We gonna
working
no,
on some
I
things.
wanted to make sure I give you respect because
Yes, I know.
it's
I
work.
appreciate it.
Because I'm
Yes.
like, wait, I think she Dr. Vanessa. Let me make sure.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Maybe we putting it out there.
Oh, and look, come on.
Come on.
It's,
See,
I'm
we supposed to be calling you Dr. Vanessa.
and I'm ready for it. I receive it. I'm
Girl,
ready for
girl.
it.
Well, I'll be your biggest supporter because this is a journey.
It is. It is. It's a whole lot, but it's so worth it. When
It's
you
worth
see
it.
lives changed, you see people transformed.
You do.
That's the satisfaction.
It is.
That's my
It
greatest
is.
satisfaction when I can hear of the things that are going on with my clients,
And
when I can
see
hear the
it.
change, when I can see that their countenance is different. I'm like, yes,
Yes.
this was worth all of that.
Right.
It's
Right.
that's the greatest thing for me. That's the
It is.
greatest thing for me.
Oh,
And
girl.
so that's what
My
makes
heart.
me just keep going. I
Yes.
just keep
Yes.
going because I'm like, if we can, if that can be done, then I know I can keep right on
Yes, I
going.
could do such more stuff. Oh my gosh. So
Mhm.
please let people know how can they find you. What's your website? Just tell people, let's close them out with a big bang. I want people to know who Miss Coach Vanessa Green is and to make sure that they check you out.
Absolutely. My website is madenewllc.com. It has all of the information about coaching services, mentoring services, what have you. On Facebook, it is Vanessa Green. I have the braids with the cute little pink top. So that's my Facebook page is Vanessa Green, and it has even my little empowerment, inspiration, mindset behind it. Those are, my three big niches. On Instagram, it is at I am made new. is my Instagram handle. And also you'll find on my pages, I do have a link for Calendly if they want to schedule, a consultation. Even for coaches that may just want advice, I'm open for that. They want advice, they want accountability. They want that coaching themselves. I'm definitely open to it. We all have to learn and grow together.
That's right.
And so we got to do this. We got to do this thing together. I also have a Facebook page for my business, which is Made New. It has the comma LLC.
Okay.
And so I do have a business page as well that has all of the information. Yes.
It was an honor, a pleasure, a privilege. I am so thankful and grateful to have you on. I felt like this was a really good discussion. Actually, I think we dug deep and leaned in.
I think we did. I think we did. I think we really did. I have enjoyed this. It's those are topics that are very near and dear to my heart.
Likewise.
So I was so glad to, have that be the topic, because I just think that's critical just to the success of your coaching, of your coaching business or anything that you aspire to do. So thank you so much for having me. This has just been a pleasure and a privilege.
Likewise.
And I can come back if you want me to.
Oh, you don't say the word. So we go on hiatus July, August, and so we'll come back in September. So I usually start to plan out, the last of the year around August. So don't be surprised if I'm like, hey, Vanessa girl, what you
and I'm gonna be like, yes, ma'am. When you need me, when you need me, I got you. When you need me, I got my planner right here. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Thank you again, everybody. Please again check out Coach Vanessa Green. She is amazing. Love your spirit, my sister. This was fun. I look forward to doing it again. Absolutely. And I want to thank everybody for listening. And remember, everybody, go out there and create awesome sauce, not just for yourself, but for others.
Yes.